Welcome to Stage 4 of Riis. This is the individual time trial. We're on board with Pedro Delgado, one of the best climbers in the world, and a big favorite for today's stage because this time trial is quite hilly, especially in the first half of the course. The likes of Delgado, Gosta Pettersson, and Bjarne Riis should be among the big favorites. The pure specialists like Rudi Altig, Jerry Kniedemann, and Knut Knudsen will have their chance, but I think just a little bit too mountainous for their liking. But here comes Pedro Delgado up to the first time check, and he's got the second best time behind Jan Ulrich, so very good start for Pedro Delgado. He might lose a little bit on the downhill and flatter sections towards the end of the course, but I imagine he'll be right up in the top 10 by the end of today's stage. Now the riders start the time trial in reverse order based on the current general classification, which means that Mario Cipollini will start last today. So Delgado 33rd overall to start the stage. There's still 32 riders behind him, but this course is quite short, so we won't be here for too long. Just 15 kilometers in length and the fairly hilly nature of the course, I don't expect huge time gaps amongst the big general classification contenders. Jan Ulrich has the best time at the finish. Pedro Delgado approaching the finish right now. And second best time, just 9 seconds behind the big German. So a very good time set by Pedro Delgado. Just cycling through some of the other riders, looking for some important. Here we go, Gosta Pettersson, the Swede, another one of the overall favorites for Riis. Been very quiet so far, but this is his specialty, the individual time trial, and he set the best time at both the first and second checkpoints. So a very good ride for Pettersson, and Claire, who have already won 2 stages, could get a third with Pettersson. I think he's going to be able to eclipse the time of Jan Ulrich and move into the hot seat. Pettersson sprinting in the last few meters, and a new best time, 4 seconds ahead of Jan Ulrich. So Gosta Pettersson has put a great performance together. I just saw a glimpse of his teammate Vervaca, who also had very good times set on the course. He could end up in the top 5 as well. Some of the other riders, there's Henny Kuiper of Bianchi Campagnolo, and there's Rudi Altig, one of the favorites for today's stage. 7th at the first check, so that is at the top of the hill, so he's a bit behind some of the better climbers in this time trial. Let's see if he can make it up on the downhill section of the course. Meanwhile, Felician Vervaca, the teammate of Gosta Pettersson on Claire, he has crossed the finish line with what I think is the 3rd best time. See it on the line. We'll go with Altig all the way to the finish here. Meanwhile, at the first checkpoint, Bjarne Riis of Kelme has beat the time of Pettersson by a single second. So Pettersson has a serious challenge for stage 1 honors today. But here comes Altig. Not quite as much of a world beater as we expected so far, but I think still a lot is to come from Rudi Altig. Should finish in the top 10 of today's stage at the very least. He comes into the final kilometer. In 5th place, 1 second ahead of Pedro Delgado and 12 seconds behind Gosta Pettersson. Now here's Altig's teammate, Bjarne Riis, who has set the best time at both time checks. He's beat Pettersson at both. Can he maintain that pace all the way to the finish? This would be a great result for Riis if he was to win the stage. And he set the best time again, so 2 seconds ahead of Pettersson. And I don't think anyone else left to start will be able to beat that. So Bjarne Riis looks great to win the stage. Here's Julien Alaphilippe, BlackBerry's team leader. A bit off the pace, over a minute back. So it's possible his teammates Henri Anglade and Tommy Prem could end up being the GC leaders for BlackBerry. Tommy Prem, okay effort. Possibly could have had a better day, been a little bit closer to the top riders so far. but just 30 seconds behind Riis. And Andy Schleck of Evian, he is their undisputed team leader in this race. Schleck hovering around the top 10 throughout the course. 10th place, 30 seconds back. Not a bad time for Andy Schleck, he's not known for his time trialing. The climbing on the course certainly helped him out. And all that's left is the big sprinters who lead the GC at the moment. And they won't be up there at the end of the stage. The time trial a bit too mountainous, none of them known specialists in that discipline anyway, but here comes Mario Cipollini, his last 5 kilometers in the yellow jersey. He, Dargad, and Jamaluddin Abdijaparov have given us great entertainment over the first 3 stages, and they'll be back on the battleground tomorrow because stage 5 is flat. But we'll go with Cipollini all the way to the finish. Seems that Dargad has already finished ahead of him. So Chippo's going to lose a big chunk of time. He was already 2 minutes back at the checkpoint, but he's not concerned about the overall anymore. That fight is over. He'll look for a stage win tomorrow. But Bjarne Riis wins the stage, and a great day for La Vie Claire, 2nd and 3rd on the stage with Gosta Pettersson and Felicien Vervaeke. So they'll have their share of options in the GC over the final phase of this race. Jan Ulrich Zulu gets 4th, Penny Kuiper 5th, Rudy Altig 6th, Pedro Delgado 7th, Onglad Knudsen and Prem finishing out the top 10. But the time gap's fairly small, it was a short course. Onto the GC, looks just like the stage classifications, we're finally getting some time gaps in Paris. No change in the points competition except for Bjarne Riis and Andy Schleck, they move up quite a bit. Thanks to points gained in the time trial. No change in the King of the Mountains, no points on offer today. And in the team competition, La Vie Claire, who else could it be? They had 2 of the top 3 riders, so they will lead the team competition, followed by Kelme and Bianchi Campagnolo.